Welcome back. I'm Camille. This is Camille Made, my corner of the internet where I get to talk about my obsession with knitting. This is going to be a very comfy, holiday, cozy knitting podcast. This is episode number 2, and it's going to follow the traditional podcast format of finished objects first, works in progress, and acquisitions. And in true podcaster form, I am wearing the first finished object that I'm going to talk about, which is my reclaimed striped pullover. There is a project blog up on my channel, and the project itself is also up on Ravelry if you just want to read or watch a little bit more of the making process. But I had a traveler's cardigan by Ozetta Knitwear. I had knitted it in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, Pearl Gray, and it was one of the very first garments that I had successfully knit. And so there were a couple of blaring mistakes as time went on, and I kept wearing it and just remembering those mistakes. And when I saw this ready-made sweater when I was out shopping with my mom, I was like, okay, I feel confident that the cardigan can get frogged and turn into something that I'm gonna wear and love a little bit more. And so when I saw the ready-made sweater, it had a plum stripe that was sandwiched between 2 lighter pink stripes. And so for my plum stripe, I used the Fibre Co. Cumbria High Cup Wines. And for the pink, I used Illimani Amelie's Pink. And I'm just so happy with how this turned out. For the most of the construction, I used the Sonia sweater by Petite Knit, and for the collar, I kind of followed the construction method of the Lakes Pullover by Ozetta Knitwear. And I knitted this in the size medium for the Sonia, and it's this perfect oversized, super comfy sweater that I've already gotten so much more wear out of than my traveler's cardigan. I'll probably knit that pattern again later down the road, and I'll love it a little bit more because I just won't make as many novice mistakes. But yeah, this is my first finished object and I'm very in love with it. The second finished object is also a sweater, and it is the Braidy loop by Other Loops. I finally got this done. I think it was mentioned in my first podcast. I had started it back in September and I just kept putting it on hold because I kept getting distracted by other projects like this one, but I finally finished it and I'm so happy. I knitted, I think, the size 2, and I used this thrifted cone of yarn. It's 720 grams of a DK weight yarn, 100% wool. I had found this at a craft reuse store here in Atlanta called Scraplanta, and I ended up having, I don't know, maybe like more than 100 grams left, but if I had continued to knit in the body longer, it was gonna be down to my feet, I fear. So yeah, and I held the thrifted cone of yarn with Isager Silk Mohair, colorway 25, I'm not completely sure, but I'll leave all the details, of course, on the screen. But yeah, I'm so happy with this, and it is actually cold in Atlanta, so I'm getting to wear my knitwear, and I'm so excited to wear this one. That is my second finished object. My next finished object is a little bit of a painful one for me to talk about, but we'll talk about it nonetheless. It is the Blomstra hat. The pattern is written by Kaisa Varela Fredrickson. Yes, so the aqua color is Hedgehog Fibres, Tweedy, Connemara, held with Isager Silk Mohair, colorway 66. And the kind of dusty pink here is the Fibre Co. and Make DK in Soft Love. I really enjoyed knitting this up. I did the size 2, so I think there are 3 sizes. This is so hard to talk about because I was really happy with how it was working up. I love the color work. I love knitting color work. I love the color. I love the tweed and the Connemara. And I had seen in the comments of people who had done the pattern that it was a little snug, but I was like, oh, I think I'll be fine. But it is really snug to a point where I'm like, I think I have to wait till I have a friend with either a smaller head than me or like a little girl that I can gift this to, because then it'll fit a little more comfortably. It does go over my head and it stops right about here, so it's not completely unwearable for me, but it's not something that I think I'm going to enjoy wearing. Additionally, I saw a lot of people shorten the pattern. Essentially, they didn't finish the chart because I I think I had like 10 more rows to do of the chart, and I was like, oh yeah, I do need to finish this off because it was gonna, like, it was just gonna be so tall of a hat. So yeah, this is it, and it hurts me to say that maybe this isn't my favorite finished object, but it is still beautiful and I love the colors. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the Blomstra hat. Not very much because it hurt my feelings in the end. Oh, I do want to say, if you do knit this, you can get away with using a light worsted. And for me, when I was working the chart, she'll have you place on the second chart, she'll have you put stitch markers at certain points. Mark where you put the stitch markers on the chart as well, with like vertical lines going down the chart to kind of separate the chart, so that you can just keep on track where you are in the round. That way, you know, you don't get to the end of the round, hit your start marker, and you're like 2 or 3 stitches off. So that is my only thing, and that's probably something that most of you do anyway. So yeah, that's my only word of advice when it comes to this. And also, maybe you don't need to knit the entire second chart because you're going to end up with a comically tall hat. So yeah, okay, that's all I have to say on that one. Next thing that I want to talk about is my Poet Scarf by Sari Nordland. I'm so beyond in love with this. I had knitted this in Knitting for Olive Merino in Bordeaux with the matching mohair. So it's the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair, also in Bordeaux. Sari Nordland is the queen of lace patterns. If you've not yet knit a lace pattern and you've been thinking about it, this is a great starting off point. The charts are super digestible, as well as the design writing is just really, really thorough, really easy to digest. And yeah, I got this done in about 1 to 2 days. It's the perfect project to kind of just wrap around and tie it around your neck and keep you warm on kind of those like brisk winter days. Not full on cold, but I just love it, and I love this yarn combination as always. So yeah, not much to say about this one. I followed the pattern exactly with like chart repeats, but the nice thing is, if you have more yarn that you're trying to get rid of, or you know, more fingering weight yarn, you can always just do more repeats of the chart, and get an even longer larger scarf pattern. And so Sari Nordland shows a couple of like the different sizes that you can make in this, but this is like the standard one. But yeah, I absolutely love it, with like the seed stitch and the leaf patterning going all the way down, and I could not be happier about this. And again, just a super quick project, on and off my needles. Nothing to say, I didn't make any modifications about this. So yeah, that's another finished object of mine. And in the same breath, I used the leftover yarn to make the Christmas bell by Petite Knit. This took less than 2 hours, from like knitting, then sewing on the bow, sewing on the leather strap and the bell. What's really fun about this is it gets rid of some of like the pesky like grams of yarn that you might have in your stash. So let's say you have like 5 grams or 6 grams and you're like, I don't even know what I would do with this, but you keep holding on to that yarn in your stash. This is a great way, and it's so stinking cute. And then the also fun part is, if you have more stash yarn that you don't know what to do with and you don't feel really like tied to it, is you can chop up that little yarn and use it to stuff the bell. So yeah, that's exactly what I did. And then I attached this gorgeous light blue velvet ribbon, and then there's the little bell, and I think these are perfect. I think this would be such a good idea too, like if you're wrapping someone's present, to use it on the outside with like the Christmas tag. I think that would just be absolutely precious. Yeah, so I have used a little bit more of that Knitting for Olive Merino Bordeaux. I have just a little bit left, and I already know what I'm going to use the rest of that for. But yeah, that's that. I have 2 more finished objects, and then we'll get into the whips. The other finished object is not a knitted one, so the next 2 are not knitted finished objects, but I had made these adorable tags to put with my gift knit. So essentially I'm going to cut on this line, and on the, so these are the front of the tag, so it says for, hand knit by, and then a couple of like holiday designs I did. And then on the back I have a place for the fiber content, how to wash, how to dry, because you know, I know that we spend so much time making gift knits for the people we love, and it's not common sense on how to take care of those knits, so we can give them a little how-to. And if I can figure out how to make this like a shareable PDF, I'm just gonna leave it in the description box so that maybe you could print it out and cut it out yourself and use them on your gift knits. And I think this is just like a really cute little project and a good way to kind of educate our recipients on how to take care of their hand knits that we lovingly made them. So yeah, that's another finished object. And the last one I am so excited to talk about. So this is my last finished object, and it is my natural veg tanned shoulder bag. Oop, got caught on my sleeve. From Babylon Leather, who I am so excited to partner with. Babylon Leather is a leather goods company that is based in Portland, Oregon, and they have warehouses both in the US as well as China. They sell a variety of leather supplies and tools for crafters to make their own leather goods at home. I had an amazing and honest conversation with them regarding their leather sourcing. All of their leather is recycled cowhide sourced from byproducts of the beef industry, ensuring zero animal waste. Additionally, their suppliers go through a strict screening process to ensure that the cowhide used in their products comes from compliant farms. They meet local environmental regulations and are produced using low pollution processes. So I felt really at ease knowing that I was creating with leather that was chosen responsibly. In addition to their leather supplies and tools, Babylon Leather has something even more fun, which are their DIY kits that include everything you need without having to purchase anything extra to complete your project. The kits come with pre-cut top grain or full grain cowhide leather pieces, hardware accessories, straps, thread, and a toolkit. Also with the kit is a tutorial video for each project, so that is so easy to get started on your project. You do not need any prior leather crafting experience, as the tutorials are so easy to follow, and you can reach out to the brand themselves if you need any additional help. If you just need a tiny break from knitting or whatever hobby you partake in and want something just a little different, Babylon Leather's DIY kits are such a fun project to do or even gift, and within hours or a couple of days you have your own leather bag. You can use my code Camille10 off, and I will leave the link in my description below for 10% off any DIY kits, and the code can be used in combination with discount codes that are already ongoing on the site. The code is always active, so there's no specific time range to take advantage of the code. Okay, so in my natural veg tan shoulder bag that I'm just loving so much, I also have, just gonna wear it, I also have my one and only whip, which are my midsummer dancer socks by Sari Nordland. This is my first pair of socks. I don't have a lot to show for it. I just have the cuff or what I have of it. And I'm knitting this in Malabrigo Ultimate Sock Yarn in the colorway Natural. It's a superwash nylon blend, so perfect for socks, and I'm really excited to get at least one sock done and get stuck on Sock Island. But yeah, that's all I have to say on it, because again, I've only gotten like a teensy bit of it done. So that's my one and only whip, and then we can get into my one and only acquisition. My only acquisition is the Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool in oatmeal, and typically this will retail for like $35 USD. And I love a good eBay yarn find. I think I've mentioned that before. And I found a 3-pack of this for $18 on eBay. And I know some people don't like knitting with this yarn because it can be a little itchy, but I didn't really find that to be the case. I've knitted a project in natural brown before. I did hold it with Isager Silk Mohair, so that probably definitely helps, and I'll probably do the same with this when I figure out what project I'm gonna do. The two projects, or the two patterns that come to mind, are the Rumi Raglan by Jules. She's so cool. Follow her on all her social media handles. Just a really cool girl. Or the Lakes V-neck Pullover by Ozetta Knitwear. But yeah, that's all I have for this knitting podcast. I hope you enjoyed and you got a lot done on whatever you were working on. Future channel plans that I can think of immediately. I want to make a video kind of shopping through my stash and talking about the patterns that I plan to knit for the rest of the year, which are smaller projects really. I don't plan on buying any more yarn for the year, and I just want to kind of clear out the space that I have, clear out and create more space for 2026 yarn. So hopefully you'll see that soon. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you're having a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.